this. What do you think will be the biggest key in this matchup?
Rams defense versus Saquon. They got to treat Saquon like teams try to treat Derrick Henry. You have to make him stop his feet. You have to try to get him to slow down in the backfield. Saquon has, this is one of the most remarkable numbers in all of the NFL this season, 1,440 yards rushing before contact. That's a season's worth of rushing yards before a person touches him. So, and if you go back to the game and the highlights that you're seeing, that was the story of that game, that they had so many gashing holes and he would get to that 8 to 10 yard depth in their defense and he'd be gone before anyone touched him. So if the Rams want any chance in this football game, they got to sit there and go defensive line in our second level, but we got to get Saquon down on the ground. We have to minimize the run game. If they can do that, then I think that they could have a great matchup. I think Ahkello Witherspoon matches up decently versus A.J. Brown, physicality-wise. It's about Saquon.
I'm going to go with Puka because I mentioned him earlier. I think that, Matt Stafford only has eyes for him right now. With all due respect to Cooper Kupp, I'm sure he'll be instrumental.
Well, I said Cooper versus for one reason.
Cooper versus Cooper, because you just like to talk about the thematically.
The white boy.
Yeah, okay, perfect. The white boy's always got a home with you. You're going to get your due. Mostly, though, because, as you know, Dan, pre-snap motion is something that they really like to do, the Rams. And we've actually heard Vic Fangio talk about how confusing that can be, how much it puts your defense on its heels. And he said that that's a big part of the reason why they had so much success against them earlier in the year. But I also think we talked about this a little bit. What is the Eagles' plan to replace Nakobe Dean? How can Higbee play into that? I think that's going to be really interesting as well.
Yeah. How it impacts Zach Bond, too. Nakobe Dean, before Stephen A. jumps in, Nakobe Dean was playing unbelievable.
Yes.
So not only do they lose a great player, but I think his ability to play so well allowed Zach Bond, their Defensive Player of the Year candidate, to move around a ton. And is there a butterfly effect to that?
Yeah. Stephen A.?
I was going to flow with Elle because I was thinking about Puka Nacua myself. That definitely came to my mind. But since you've got that and you threw that name out there and Dan said what he said about Saquon, let's go with Jalen Hurts. How about that? How about if Saquon is reduced to being normal? How about he might have 110 yards, 105 yards as opposed to 220? What if the Eagles are put in a situation where the Los Angeles Rams say, throw that damn football. Let's see what you do. Yeah, we saw 2 touchdowns, 131 yards passing. But when you see like here, Jalen Hurts, least efficient passing performance by a quarterback in a postseason win in the past 10 years. I'm just saying that is it possible, Dan Orlovsky, that somebody will dare Jalen Hurts to beat them? Is it possible that the Los Angeles Rams believe our best chance at winning this game is making sure that the Eagles don't look like the least passing team in the National Football League with 24 pass attempts a game? Maybe if we make this brother throw more, it plays right into our hands. Maybe that's our best chance.
Yeah.
I think it's possible. I think we need to watch out for it.
Yeah,
I totally
absolutely.
agree at this point.
And obviously, we all know LA's dealing with devastation. And
his arm, meaning they're not going to let Saquon beat him. Does he do it?
I don't think he would do it if that was the case, but I don't think he's going to have to.
Okay.
This game is, again, about Saquon Barkley. Now, if the Rams defense is able to try to slow him down and they dare Jalen Hurts to beat them, Philadelphia ain't going to Detroit to play in the NFC Championship game. That would be the Los Angeles Rams, because the formula for Philadelphia is very clear in how to win games, and this Rams defense is playing as good as anybody.
Well, let's remind everyone, B29, please, Cindy, of what this matchup was the last time that they played. This is a different one than I was expecting, but okay, that's fine. Sean McVay has never allowed a 100-yard rusher. Never. Not once in a playoff game. And he's gone up against other great running backs. Now, obviously, none of them have had the season that Saquon Barkley just did. Yeah. But McVay and his defenses have known how to slow down the big running back. Harry, if they do that, if somehow the Rams and this really good defensive front and Jared Verse and all these guys make this a game that Jalen Hurts needs to win with his arm, are you confident he does it?
No, I'm not. But can he be phenomenal getting the ball to A.J. Brown? Because we know A.J. Brown is the best wide receiver in the National Football League versus man coverage. But can Jalen Hurts be consistent in doing so? And also Devontae Smith, you can't forget him.
Well,
so do I have confidence right now that he's going to be able to do that? No, I don't.
If Saquon doesn't go over 100, the Rams win this game. It'll be very clear. This defensive line that is in L.A., it's the best defensive line that this Philadelphia Eagles offensive line will see all season and has seen all season. And in many ways, it's the same unit. The Eagles offensive line is big, it's physical, it's athletic, it's nasty, it's tough. This Rams defensive line is big, it's physical, it's nasty, it's athletic, it's tough, it's violent. Here's the fascinating thing about all of this. Jalen Hurts has got 6 playoff games, right?
Yeah.
In those 3 wins, he's thrown for 154 yards, 131 yards, and 121 yards. In the 3 losses, he's thrown for 304 yards, 250 yards, and something like 230 yards. So it's very clear.
The formula.
When they win, it is not on the arm of Jalen Hurts. It's the formula of the offensive line dominating the game. So if somehow they can, and now it's a big if, because they ran all over him. If they can slow Saquon down and minimize him a little bit, advantage LA.
So here's the chess piece, too, though. When it comes to Saquon, he's such a home run hitter that you can bottle him up for a long period of time, but then next thing you know, he has a 70 and a 72
You got to treat him like Derrick Henry.
Yep.
You got to treat him like Derrick Henry. Make him stop his feet.
But you, Dan, pointed out that this Rams defensive line
Yes.
is a dominant unit.
Outstanding.
Right? And Hembo pointed out some of these numbers. This year, the 2023 draft class, Will Anderson, we all agree, is a transformational player.
Right.
He's had 20.5 sacks. The 2 players behind him, Kobe Turner, 19.5.
Who's he play for?
Byron Young, 17 sacks. So Rams 2 and 3. This year, the Rams had 2 of the top 4 rookie sackers.
Yeah.
And this is a defense with those linemen that they've rebuilt the defense with that has allowed fewer points and created more sacks and takeaways in their first season without Aaron Donald. So one of
They got
greatest
more sacks
and takeaways than they did last year without Donald. So essentially, they lose one of the greatest defensive linemen in the history of the game and have more production this season without him.
I'm going to add this. Most of those defensive linemen that you're talking about are first and second year players.
Yeah.
This will be the best defensive line in the National Football League next season.
I hear y'all. This is the same defensive line that Saquon Barkley had 4 untouched runs for 164 yards. So when I look at this, and yes, I agree with you guys in the sense of if Jalen Hurts has to throw the ball 25-plus times because they're not able to run the ball, then they do win the game. But at the same time, they have to be able to stop Saquon Barkley. We're talking about all of their pass rush numbers, the sacks, how dominant they were against the Vikings, who weren't trying to run the ball, who was dropping back, putting Darnold in position to go win the game. The Eagles aren't going to do that.
The Eagles are a 6-point favorite on ESPN Bet, by the way. Very quickly, Harry, I was just looking at the numbers at the bottom of that screen. A.J. Brown, 1 catch, 3 targets, 1 book read on the sideline.
Come on, man.
Are we good with that?
No, hell no. And
If
I'm gonna
we
put.
win the game, we
But
all
hold
care
on.
about AJ Brown's
Give me a
numbers.
second. When it comes to Jalen Hurts and Kellen Moore as the offensive play caller, that should never happen in any football
I thought
game.
you said a different word there.
No, I don't care about that.
I thought you said a different word.
That should never
I
happen.
don't care about that. If we're winning a football game and we're doing it by running the ball and we're up, I could care less. Read the whole daggone book and bring a second one